Oh, hey Ian, thanks for seeing me at such short notice like this.
Yeah, hi Josh. Look, I'm kind of in a rush. Is this about you failing to reserve your name on Classic? Because I told you, Josh Lore is just a really common name. It could have been anyone that took it, not just me.
No, it's not that, no. It's about the 15th anniversary store mounts.
Oh, you mean those cool alabaster ones? Yeah, sure. What can I do for you?
Okay, so I was playing on my shaman the other day, and I was keeping an eye on trade chat, and I noticed that lots of players were making fun of the mounts, saying that we just couldn't be bothered to texture them properly.
What? That's ridiculous. They're just meant to be white, like alabaster. And anyway, they've got gold on them too.
Yeah, that's what I thought. But people keep joking about it, and I wondered if you wanted to, I don't know, maybe add some more gold, or like literally any other color at all just to stop the memes.
No, Josh, I would not like to add more gold. These mounts are a triumph of artistic vision, and we're going to stay true to that vision. The idea that we created an all-white alabaster mount as a way of cutting corners or saving on resources is just plain offensive. But anyway, I'm glad you're here because I want to give you a sneak peek of the next store mount.
There's another store mount?
Oh yeah, in like a month, obviously.
Oh, great.
Say hello to the Wireframe Raptor.
What?
Yeah, it's like a Titan-forged raptor or whatever that escaped and got loose before the Titans had a chance to add, like, any color or detail at all. It's totally unique. You like it?
Yeah. Do you not think that the community might think this one is a bit lazy too?
What? Why?
Because it's just a wire mesh.
Don't be stupid, Josh. That's exactly what it's supposed to look like. It just so happens it also was quite easy for the art team to make. Okay, fine. We'll add some gold to it. Happy now?
Yeah, sure, that's much better.
Excellent. Now all you need to do is go and announce it on the forums. Are you crying?
Knowledge is power.
Hello, Internet. Taliesin here, and welcome to another episode of the Weekly Reset. Taliesin and Evitel's Wondrous Wisdomshow, and it's one of those weeks where we don't just have a load of this week's news to talk about, although we do, all the classic hype, and the fact that, let's be honest, there's probably already too many people playing that game and it's not even out for another week, but also new things in live, like the beautiful, mysterious 8.2.5 data mining with Gilneas, Goblin and Worgen heritage armor, and, you know, the new level 120 boost. And we are going to talk all about those things, I promise. But of course, we missed an episode last week where, by the way, a whole ton of stuff also happened. And it was the kind of stuff where if I don't touch on it, at least briefly, then people are going to be like, ha, I knew he wouldn't talk about that. So here I am talking about that in this super quick and efficient recap, like those alabaster mounts on the store. Now, you won't be surprised to hear how I feel about those store mounts, because it turns out that just like all store mounts, I don't like them. So if you don't like them, then we agree. But if you do like them, then I don't really care all too much, because you buying the mounts I don't like is maybe why my subscription still costs just $15 a month after 15 years. And either way, rest assured, I'm not going to slash spit on you in game, because obviously I won't, because I'm a grown-up. Have fun. And the news that many accounts who had been inactive for 2 years or more would be given a free level 100 boost to encourage them back into the game, which I think is a sound idea. It means that returning players, a good thing that we should encourage, get to experience a very recent and very good expansion in Legion, but the boost still has no impact on the current game, which means that us current players wouldn't get jealous or anything, because, you know, we do have this weird thing about getting jealous sometimes, but not this time, because, no, only joking, it was a shit show, obviously. So screw the people that are already paying monthly, what the fuck? Blizz is turning into a phone/cable company by rewarding non-playing accounts more than loyal customers. Another stupid idea. It seems Blizzard yearly paying supporters get zero these days after Activision taking over Blizzard games and all the old developers being kicked out who funded Blizzard. Make Blizzard great again. And you know what? That is true. I, a loyal customer who pays a monthly sub to play a game that I like, have received absolutely nothing in the last couple of years except thousands of hours of being able to play the game that I like. Oh, and also a couple of free mounts because I pay with a 6-month sub. But you are right to be angry. Of course, if those returning players decide they want to continue playing any current content, then they'll have to buy BfA, which comes with a free 110 boost anyway. But whatever, this is just a recap. So I'm going to ask you to hold your level boost anger in that special place in your heart reserved for video game rage and keep it simmering, because we'll be talking a bit more about boosts later on. Now, what else? Ah, yes, Wrathion, the Dragon Man boy Dragon Man who everyone wants on their lips. Sorry, whose name is on everyone's lips, got his 8.2.5 mission totally data mined and red recap spoiler bot up, because at the end of the mission, you don't find the man himself, but his diary, which he left out specially for you and tells you what he's been up to for the last few years, wandering around Azeroth, talking to the Shadowpan and the Law Walkers, hanging about in Karazhan and changing his mind on lots of things. And to cut a long story short, basically he thinks the key to solving all of Azeroth's tentacly problems is the Forge of Origination in Uldum, which maybe should be a worry for us living characters on Azeroth, because the purpose of that forge is to wipe out all life on Azeroth if the planet were to ever be corrupted. So if you're alive like what we are, that's bad news. Unless we just so happen to be in, like, I don't know, the Shadowlands at the time or something, and therefore not technically life on Azeroth when it happens. Just a thought, which actually might be the ending of the next expansion now I think about it. And in any case, you're right, that plan probably wouldn't work anyway, because the Forge uses the Emerald Dream as a template for the reset, and the Emerald Dream is currently a bit old god corrupted. And I hope you appreciate that I could have made a 25-minute video out of all of that, but instead I covered it in one paragraph in a recap section, because I hate money apparently. And lastly, before we start with this week's news, the exciting climax of World First Watch, the ultimate battle to heroically defeat Shazzrah on Heroic and claim the title of the best guild in the world, with a name a bit like Immortalis. And really good news, because this weekend, as this episode was being written, the brave, plucky, kind-hearted, nice to old people, People's Champions Argent Dawn EU did in fact down Shazzrah and get ahead of the curve, a boss kill that makes us the champions! Or at least it would if both bit like Immortalis and actual champions Est Immortalis hadn't also beaten the raid like a full week before we did. Yeah, despite reaching the final encounter first, we just weren't very good at it, mostly because it included a mechanic that is always the bane of our raid team: stacking. And don't laugh, okay, because it's true. If a fight involves stacking, especially if it involves stacking in different places at different times, then, you know, we are going to suck at it. That's just a fact. Actually, it's a bit depressing that after around 70 wipes, we actually all finally managed to stack perfectly when our raid leader had to reset his router and we decided to all hide behind a pillar to confuse him when he logged back in.
And here I am. Where's the rest of the raid? I can't see anyone.
Surprise!
We were hiding!
You guys are so cool.
So if there's bants or shenanigans involved, then we are a well-oiled machine, but apparently when there's a sexy fish queen to kill, not so much. So congratulations, Est Immortalis, on taking our crown in what was actually a really fun race. I like having the competition, so much so that, and this is not a joke, Evitel spent all of Friday designing this world first, for guilds with the name a bit like Immortalis, professional esports t-shirt, which is a real t-shirt which is on our NA and EU merchandise store right now, for if you want to show the world how much you like professional esports. And so ends our super quick recap, which means it's time for the real news, the current news, and what could be more current and bleeding edge and up to the moment than a 15-year-old game. Because WoW Classic is now so close that you can smell the musty no-life air. Blizzard have put out an official blue post with all of the details about the global launch next week, which, by the way, is totally not no changes, but I guess we'll let that one slide. The server names have been revealed, and look, I'm not saying it's a competition, okay, because it's not, but if it were a competition, then NA completely win, obviously, because they get names like Atiesh, Whitemane, Herod, shit, yes, whereas EU get Mirage Raceway and Hydraxian Waterlords. And yeah, fine, Everlook is a cool name, but that's a German server, and Orbadine is a cool name, but that's a French server, and I'm not really upset or anything, okay? I just want you to know, Blizz, that I noticed our shitty names, okay? That's all. I noticed. But the classic hype is real, it's genuine, and it's tangible. A hype that I was totally feeling myself as I logged on at 11 PM UK time, at the same time the classic servers go live over here, and thanks a bunch for that as well, Blizz, by the way, to reserve my character name on my chosen server, which I was totally able to do. And I know you might well be someone who was kept in a queue for an hour to get onto your server, and you're thinking, oh, come on, Taliesin, this is absolute, undeniable proof of streamer privilege at work. But before you get too angry, please bear in mind that not only was I trying to get into EU RP PvP server Zandalar Tribe, which relatively, essentially no one else was trying to access, and I wonder why, but I also wasn't even trying to get the name Taliesin, which, by the way, disappeared instantly, but my standard long-time main name, Mivanwi. Spelt wrong. So I didn't really need all that much privilege to bag it, probably. We will be starting a community guild called Taliethics on Zandalar Tribe Horde side, me having never really seen any of the pre-Kata Horde content before. So if you want to avoid that server because you hate me, or if you just don't want to play on a streamer server, then that's actually a feeling I totally understand, especially if you are a proper no changes guy. Streamers and their sometimes vast communities really are a force that is going to completely impact the dynamic of classic servers in a way that simply didn't exist in real vanilla. And obviously that has its good and bad elements, but today I want to ask the big question. The question that no one really knows the answer to even now, least of all Blizzard themselves. And that question is not, will Classic be good? Because of course it's good. It was good when it launched and it's good now. This is a good game that stands on its own 2 feet beyond any nostalgia. No, the question is, just how popular will WoW Classic be? I know for a fact that opinion is still split among the devs as to how many people will be playing Classic in a few months' time, with views ranging from 10 million down to sub 1 million and everything in between, because there is no doubt at all about how popular this game will be in the short term. The opening days and weeks on old school Azeroth are going to be crazy, heady, wild, and full to bursting. Blizzard already had to open up a new server each on NA and EU to cope with demand, and put out blue posts this week basically begging players to stay away from Stalag and Shazzrah, which are already so full of people who can't even play the game yet, remember, and have only joined to name a character, that apparently login queues in excess of 10,000 are a certainty. And that is with the layering that you hate, don't forget. So if the expected player drop-off doesn't occur, like if everyone keeps on playing this game into months 3 or 4, then when Blizzard do turn off layering, as promised, then basically you're never getting into either of those two realms. It's also worth mentioning that this is 2019 server capacity. A medium realm now already has considerably more players on it than even the most jam-packed 2006 full version. So basically the situation currently is Blizzard doesn't expect the vast majority of players to make it much past level 20 or 30 in Classic, and they have factored that drop-off into their plans. But if that drop-off doesn't happen, then Blizz are kind of screwed. And so are you. And you may well be thinking now the same thing that I did. Like, seriously, there aren't many servers, right? I was genuinely surprised at how few servers were announced this week. So surely we can just add more, right? That's what they did in vanilla after all, which is great. But then what if there is the expected drop-off? Suddenly you've got a whole ton of empty realms, which no one wants. It's an impossible thing to predict and an impossible thing to get right. Either way, players are going to complain, but at least long login queues are kind of true to vanilla though. I mean, if you're gonna have a problem that pisses everyone off, then it might as well be a genuine vanilla problem, right? I'm sure that's how people will see it. No one doubts that the opening month of Classic will probably see WoW's highest sub numbers ever. That's been likely since the game was announced. The only doubt at all surrounds how successful the game will be long term. And I don't know, I only have an opinion, but I suspect plenty successful enough. For one thing, I think there will be a huge drop-off, but I think this is important to clarify. If Classic has a 70 to 80% decrease in players after the second month or so, that's no failure by any stretch. That's pretty normal for seriously like any video game ever, even the most successful ones. It wasn't a failure for BfA after it launched, and it wouldn't be a failure for Classic. There is going to be a strong, loving, very committed group of players who will always play this game in numbers comparable or even surpassing the live version. And for every person who only plays Classic or only plays live, there'll be someone like me who enjoys playing both. Because man, Classic is great, but honestly, after 8 hours or so of that bad boy, I am totally ready for a few Mythic Plus, you know? And you know what? Maybe the drop-off won't be anywhere near that big anyway, because WoW Classic hasn't just got a lot of player hype behind it, it's also got a lot of creator hype too. Although I'm kind of totally going on Guild holiday the week after, so whoops. And Twitch is going to be one big wall-to-wall Classic love fest. And it's going to be great. It's going to be joyous to be there for the server queues and the sardine starting areas and just being part of this huge event. Obviously there's that ridiculous NA streamer server, which is going to be absolutely insane, but there's also world first Molten core. And yes, that's a real thing. If it hasn't already been announced as we're making this video, then you can just call me Holmes, because I think I've worked out the worst kept secret in the world, that Method are having an official world first race for Molten Core, broadcasting from Vegas, baby, which will follow live their players leveling to 60 and getting attuned to Classic's first raid. The leveling and attunements being the real race, of course, because, well, obviously everyone already knows exactly how to beat all the bosses in there, and basically the first guild to set foot in Molten Core will be the guild who gets world first. But expect that Method stream to have the usual pro setup with awesome commentators like Preach and Bay, and I wouldn't be surprised to see our boy Mr. GM in there too. I know from anonymous sources that aren't any of those people that Method expect that Molten Core race to be over in 11 days. They've done the maths. They know exactly what they have to do to get that pesky Hydraxian Waterlords rep, and exactly how many players they're going to have to take into the raid to get it done, because guaranteed it won't be 40. I'm betting between like 25, 30 at the most, personally. And they are going to have genuine competition too. There are private server guilds who have essentially been training for this moment for the last 15 years, who will be no-lifing the shit out of Classic, and you know what? Maybe at this point you're thinking the same thing as me. Maybe you're thinking, I mean, that does sound super fun, but it's not quite the romantic, I have no idea what's going on and this is an awesome unquantifiable adventure that I remember my first vanilla experience being, you know. This all sounds a bit professional, really, doesn't it? And if that's you, then I'm kind of on your side. It took the first vanilla players 154 days to get to Ragnaros and defeat Molten Core after vanilla launched. People who know a lot more than me are expecting that to be down in 11 days in Classic, and obviously that isn't going to be true for 99% of players, but it does highlight a pretty undeniable truth. Classic is a good game. A great game. A game I've been wanting to play since I started playing WoW over 10 years ago, and I am so excited and thankful to be able to do so. But the experience isn't going to be the same as vanilla, because it can't be. One of the great things about WoW is that it is a player and community-based experience, and those players are completely different now. They know more, they care more, they're better players. The wonder and joy of being shit at Warcraft, like properly shit, has completely disappeared for all of us, and we are never getting it back, no matter how hard I try. So all we're left with is the genuinely good game beneath it all. Will that be enough to keep everyone playing? I hope so. I think so. But no one knows yet, and I can't wait to find out. And this is where we'd usually skip over to Evitel's section, but this episode took a bit longer to write than usual, which meant that we missed our slot with Evitel to film this. So sorry, it's me again. I'll try to channel her as best I can, I guess. Right, where was I? There's annoyingly plenty of news and going on in the live game right now too, even if that's mostly based around the 8.2.5 data mining stuff, which apart from that Wrathion questline, still resolutely refuses to give us any juicy storyline details at all. Blizzard really do seem to be working harder than usual to keep that under wraps this time out. Blizzard though did clarify a few things this week, like the fact that Sylvanas will not be dying this expansion. John Haidt promising Chinese fans with their incredible seating arrangements that they would never ever kill Sylvanas that quickly. His words. Anyway, I didn't bother putting a spoiler bot up for that because you all knew that anyway, and we've been saying it since before the expansion began, because Sylvanas clearly isn't Garrosh 2.0, even though I guess Garrosh didn't die at the end of Miss either now I think about it, but shut up, you know what I mean. And then there was the blue post clarifying that even though we are getting the promised new high-res beautiful Goblin and Worgen models in 8.2.5, there won't be heritage armour to go with them, with that coming at a later date. Now, I've got to admit, this came as something of a disappointment to me, even though I don't have a Goblin or Worgen character to actually do the quests and get the transmog, but I want to see that shit, okay? I don't know why, but I have this real, genuine need to see the Worgen heritage armour. Like, it's something that my body and mind legit desires right now. I know, it's irrational. Luckily, the rest of the player base was a lot more rational than me, and less enslaved to their most base emotional feelings, especially on the forums, where at the very most this news was met with mild annoyance at the thought of something that they pinned their hopes on and were looking forward to would be delayed by just no, it was a shit show, obviously. So they lied again, surprise! Fish, such a disappointment! Way to drop the ball, Blizz! Oh no, Blizzard lied again! That never ever happened before in recent history! In an interview with MMORPG at the Blizzard Summit that actually me and Evie were at, producer Shani Edwards said of new character models, shortly after Rise, and she does sound exactly like this, shortly after Rise of Ashara, you'll see that these are the two races that haven't been updated. They'll have new heritage armor with that as well, which, you know what, does certainly imply that they would be arriving at the same time, and I think it's highly likely that they were developed together with the intention of arriving both in 8.2.5, and it's quite obvious to me why we aren't getting that heritage armor till later, and I feel the need to apologise for this personally, because clearly the armor was all designed and ready to go, but the devs saw Evitel threatening to riot if both sets didn't include copious use of top hats and thought, oh shit, well we don't want Evitel to riot, and I've got to say that that was the right choice, because you don't want a rioting Evitel on your hands. She's mean. So yes, the armor is delayed, but okay, it means we're definitely 100% now getting top hats, and frankly, I think that's a trade worth making, and we're definitely getting top hats, and if we don't get top hats, we riot, obviously. An intriguing thing about the delayed heritage armor, though, is that it suggests these two Gilneas maps found in the data might not be the heritage questlines that we assumed. I mean, they probably are, but maybe not. Maybe they are for some other purpose. In Cataclysm, Emberstone Village was overrun by Forsaken until the players helped arm the citizens and start a rebellion and rescue the town. Now to me, that sounds like the kind of perfect and friendly and motivated place to launch an offensive on Gilneas itself, if that's the kind of thing you wanted to do. Like, if you wanted to take back Gilneas for any reason, if that's the kind of thing you're interested in, I don't know, that's probably a good place to do it from, that's all. Also in that data is the Anniversary Caverns of Time stuff, and Boralis and Zandalar locations for players to go to when they use their character boost 120. Now that's interesting. And do you remember right back at the beginning of the episode when I asked you to hold on to that boost hate internet rage? Well, I hope you've really been letting it fester and grow and poison you from the inside, because now, finally, it's time to use that power. Why is there a level 120 boost in the code, and why is it in the 8.25 data? Now, of course, there's nothing wrong with a 120 boost in of itself, right? You would totally expect there to be one as part of the next expansion, just like there was for Legion and BfA. And you would expect such a boost to be available with the 9.0 Rise of the Tuskar pre-purchases. That's all legit. That's all fine. The worry here, seeing this in the 8.25 data, is that it may come sooner than that, which would be a problem. If a purchasable 120 boost were to arrive in 8.25 with the whole of 8.3 to go, assuming there is an 8.3, now you're into store territory that goes beyond mounts, which I already don't like, as you know, and into shit that I don't like, but which does impact the game. This would make me very sad, and I want to be rational and reasonable and say, well, yeah, just because it's in the data now doesn't mean that it's coming in 8.2.5 though, and that's totally true, but there's this nagging feeling, you know. Some people are saying, well, it must be before 9.0 because there's a level squish next expansion, so why would you need a 120 boost? It would be like 60 or whatever. But that's not really true either because, well, aside from the fact we don't know there 100% will be a level squish for 9.0, this boost would be part of pre-purchase, which would be months before the next expansion, before any level squish, so obviously it would still be 120 at that point. So that's the stance I will take on this for now. It stands to reason that the 120 boost will arrive in the same way the equivalent did in Legion and BfA, which is fine. After the expansion is essentially done and dusted and part of pre-orders and eventually just part of the next expansion. But I'm not gonna lie, I don't love seeing it in the code so soon. Evitel, you're back!
I'm here.
I just told everyone that you weren't here, and here you are. Say something.
I'm here.
No, that's why you couldn't be in the video. Look how ill you are. It's
I
ridiculous.
Can't strain myself.
You're disgusting.
I feel fine.
I don't feel
voice.
fine sitting next to you. I feel in danger.
Sorry.
What happens if, like, it's all
gross.
very well you being ill. What happens if I get ill? You know, did you ever think of that? How does it feel to be ahead of the curve? How does it feel to have a Shazzrah down after all of that?
Well, it was only a matter of time.
Yeah, just a very long time.
It was a very long time, but it was going to happen eventually. And to be honest, I wasn't sure about it when we did that pull.
Yeah.
I didn't think that was going to be the pull.
It was a really bad pull.
It wasn't a great pull, and
I got very distracted because, you know, in the final phase of that fight, when the big red eye comes along, and it's called like the Gaze of N'Zoth or something like that, and it zaps across the screen.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I suddenly realised just in that moment, in that pull, how funny it was when everyone started shouting, "Watch out for the gaze!" And then I got killed by the gaze, and then I got a res just in time for the... And actually, the res was quite good because I was res and I was one of the only people who didn't have any stacks. Because I got res, because your stacks get wiped if you
yes,
get res.
because I noticed that like one of them was really ticking down.
And then I went and I got that, and without me dying to the gaze...
Probably wouldn't have gotten it.
So I don't think I'm alone in thanking the gaze for our win. And I'm pretty sure that all of Immortalis would thank the gaze. As always, you know.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Yeah.
You know what side we're on. But
listen to you trying to talk.
I know,
It's
it's
the most
funny,
beautiful
I'm
thing you've
sorry.
ever done. No, I really appreciate
sorry.
you coming on the end. Now, there is something else that we've got to talk about. We got sent a
box.
package from one of our favourite Warcraft artists, Frenone. And she sent us all kinds of
Beautiful
amazing things. Now,
things.
we've shown these off on stream, and we are going to do a giveaway where we give some of these things away. Look at this, a new keyring for me, because I'm not going to lie to you, fam. We're going to keep some of this.
Yeah, not gonna lie, the stash is like mostly for me. And
Yeah, we'll be putting a link to Frenone's stuff and her art and all her amazing crafts and things that you can buy, and you should because they're amazing. Look at this.
So good and really high quality.
Absolutely. We can't run YouTube competitions anymore because they took away the messaging function, so we can't let people know when they've won privately. So we'll be running a competition on Twitter after this video goes live in the next day or so. This will go live, so keep your eyes peeled for that. It will be a very easy competition to win. I hope you win it. I hope you win one of these amazing pin badges. We're keeping the rest of the stuff for ourselves.
Oh yeah.
But thank you for joining us today. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having
You
me
were
today.
so brave. If you liked this episode, don't thank us. Thank our patrons who give their actual real life money to make all of our videos happen. If you didn't like it, downvote the shit out of it. And remember, my name is Frenone.
My name's Frenone.
No, my name's Frenone.
No.
My name is Taliesin. From me,
And me, Evitel.
until next time, cheer. Buy our new esports t-shirt. Cheerio.
Yeah, check them out. Bye.